Shepard did everything right, more than we could have hoped for. And still, it's not enough.
We as human beings enjoy the comfort of many self-delusions. Most, if not all of them, are there to protect us from the reality of existence, from the fear of the unavoidable death, the fear that we are no different than any other living thing. Our collection of collaborative cells is more complex. It can scare you away from danger and chase nutrients. It can produce symbolic thinking. But from that complexity comes the understanding that there is no real difference. The understanding that we share the same fate with every living thing. We have our minds and gaze set upon the stars, but we are housed in a heart-pumping, breath-gasping body that once belonged to a fish. Our material, fleshy casings ache, bleed, will decay and die. Thus the need to create lies like culture, religion and myth to blind ourselves from reality. One of the myths we employ and have been for a really long time is the myth of the shaman, the saint, the prophet, the hero, the genius. Enjoying the fantasy of the superhero or the supervillain gives us the protection provided by the idea that out there, somewhere, there are people transcending the limitations of the common person, the limitations of being human. Giving us protection against the terror of death through the illusion that overcoming the human condition is possible, and unfortunately at the same time preventing us from actively participating in the progress towards that goal. Heroes of ours like Dr. House, Achilles, Gordon Freeman, Gandhi, Abu Ali Sina, Aloy, Leonardo da Vinci, Martin Luther King, Shakespeare, B.J. Blazkowicz, Dmitri Mendeleev, Iron Man, Mary Elliott Hill, Sao Lam Wu, the list can go on and on. Whether completely the product of our imagination or based on a person, they all share traits that push them beyond the human, raised by us as comfort, as soothing delusion, in many cases literally overcoming death themselves. I thought about going through the motions, listing geniuses throughout history and pointing out how even the most well-known eureka moments were based on decades of intense hard work, and not to mention the shoulders of many, many other people. The idea of that light bulb moment as presented in popular culture and sometimes, sadly, also scientific circles, is nothing but the myth of the hero, the beyond human, the Superman we enjoy hearing about so much. It takes extraordinary effort, time and sacrifice to make even the smallest technological and scientific progress. The idea of the hero, the genius, is a fiction, a comforting delusion we perpetuate because it is pushing thoughts of our own meaninglessness away and absolving us of responsibility. I will keep the technical jargon to bare minimum, but please follow me. Starting in 1908, Alexis Carrel grew cells in the laboratory for 34 years, wrongly concluding that vertebrate cells can divide indefinitely, and aging, as he put it, is an attribute of the body as a whole. This idea became widely accepted and the standard. Moving forward in 1930, Hermann Muller notes that the end of chromosomes have unique properties. He named these ends telomeres, from the Greek words meaning end part. In 1961, experiments by Hayflick and Moorhead found that cultures derived from human skin would divide 40 to 50 times, and then stop. Further work showed that cells from older people underwent fewer divisions than cells from younger people, suggesting that it was the total number of divisions since birth, not the divisions in culture, that was important. Carrel's experiments could not be reproduced. The new accepted model is the Hayflick limit. In 1972, while working at a research institute in the Soviet Union, Alexei Olovnikov was thinking about DNA molecules while waiting for a subway train. When he heard the train approaching, he suddenly saw a parallel with DNA replication. If the engine were replicating the DNA track, the first part would not be replicated as it would be underneath the engine. At the same time, while waiting to start his biochemistry lecture, James Watson recognizes that when his enzymes reached the end of a linear DNA molecule, there was a problem completing the replication in his experiments. He calls it the end replication problem. Olovnikov predicted the problem at the beginning of DNA replication, whereas Watson predicted the problem at the end. They both knew of Hayflick's work on cellular senescence and recognized that this problem might trigger the Hayflick limit. In 1978, Elizabeth Blackburn finds that the ends of chromosomes, the telomeres, are made of repeating DNA sequences. It soon became apparent that this motif was conserved throughout evolution, and that a common mechanism might exist in eukaryotes for the maintenance of telomeres. In 1984, Carol Greider identifies an enzyme that added telomere repeats onto chromosome ends. It took 76 years. Since Alexis Carrel started growing cells, his knowledge of biology resting on thousands upon thousands of years of human evolution. It took 76 years of hard scientific, technical and experimental work across continents, ideologies and cultures, employing the immeasurable help of thousands of lab assistants, postdocs, students, administrative staff, all funded through research labs and universities. It wasn't a single moment of genius. It wasn't a lone Watson sitting waiting there to start his biochemistry lecture, or a brilliant Olovnikov on a bench in the Moscow metro looking at the trains. It wasn't the talent and innate abilities of Elizabeth Blackburn and Carol Greider. Richard Feynman wasn't suddenly struck by a way to describe subatomic particle interactions while taking a break from his usual lazy day. Einstein, contrary to the guilt-absorbing, fear-shattering myth, didn't just go about his job, stamping patents, chasing comfort and relaxation all his life when the theory of relativity came to him. Every moment of realization, every publicized connection, every seemingly far-made correlation owes its existence to decades of study, hard work, mistakes, and the collaboration of us all. You might find yourself saying, "I'm not smart enough to be a scientist. I never liked math. Biochemistry is hard. How can I possibly help with these things? I'm a designer. I remember physics was interesting, but you need math for that." It is too late for me. I'll leave these kind of things to others, to the young ones, to the geniuses. There are no others. No one is coming to save us. There are no geniuses. No heroes, no Superman. Just people, like you, hard-working people, who study, think about, and practice without expecting anything in return but progress towards truth, knowledge, and the advancement of the human race. That concept of the lone genius, that out of nothing has a world-changing idea, is not only horribly offensive and unproductive, but it takes away from the extreme amount of hard work, collaboration, immense sacrifice and pain that every scientific step we take requires. The idea of a hero, a genius, promotes the comforting, terror-managing lie that there are superhumans out there. A lie we enjoy because it is absolving us of the responsibility of working towards changing the insufferable human condition. We are going to save ourselves.